Hi buddy, it's Alex Tennis, and today I'm gonna review for you one of the racket that the last time that I reviewed it was one of my most viewed video, and so now they've updated, so let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's gonna be better than the last time. So today I took out of Tennis Zone this Wilson Clash 100, and if you haven't seen reviews of myself talking about the Clash, okay, first let's start with the feel. And I'm sorry for all the people that I've watched my other Clash review. Let me just summarize a bit the feel of the Clash. So the Clash is made to be comfortable, but the problem is that if you're playing with a higher pace, then the racket will feel stiffer, and if you're playing with a lower pace, the racket is gonna feel a lot softer. So you have two feelings combined in one racket. So that's great, right? Not really, because it's tough to feel consistency when the racket is always keeping to change the feel. So to make this review, I'm gonna first start with the specs, and then we're gonna go on the court, and finally I'm gonna give my rating. So this racket is a 100 square inch head size with a 16 by 19 string pattern, and you have a non-strung weight of 295 grams. What is new with that Wilson Clash? Basically, Wilson really love what they did with the version 1. They've tried to improve it to have a bit more feel with the version 2, but they didn't feel like they've improved it enough. And so now they're coming back to their root and trying to go back to what worked with the V1 to try to release this one. So yeah, let's go on the court and let's find out how it plays. This Wilson Clash 100 was strung with Luxilon Adrenaline at 52 pounds. Let's go on the court. If you're looking to buy some tennis products online, then I have a great news for you. You can use the code ALEXTENNIS to have 10% off your next purchase on Tennis Zone. Thanks to them for making this video possible, and let's go back. On the court with the Wilson Clash 100, the first thing that I felt was obviously the comfort, but that was to be expected. I feel like this racket is fast through the air, even though the beam is quite thick, so that's a good thing. The spin potential of this racket is definitely great. You still feel like the racket is, yes, maybe a bit more solid compared to the V2, but feels still a bit hollow to my opinion. But like I said, it's quite comfortable, quite easy to generate some pace with this racket. And if you're feeling that this racket is not stable enough, then you have the Pro version that could be another option at 305 grams. But yeah, in general, felt just great from the baseline. In terms of serve, really fun because you have a lot of racket head speed. At the volley, it's not a stands out due to the lack of stability in general, but a really maneuverable racket that is quite comfortable, quite powerful, and in terms of spin, it's pretty good. So I would say that in general, it's a great racket if you want to feel some comfort and you don't want to think about how your arm is going to react if you're playing 2 hours of tennis, let's say. So for that, it's definitely great. In terms of feel, it's a bit better compared to the V2, but nothing that really stands out in general. It's quite boring if you want to search for feel, but it's quite fun if you're just playing, like I said, for fun, hitting from the baseline. So, you know, I've demoed this racket after trying the 100 Pro, and I have to say that this racket feels pretty much the same. Obviously, feels a bit less solid, but feels faster through the air. Overall, this racket is nothing that is crazy, but it does pretty much everything well from the baseline. So you have a great racket if you just want to rally, but if you're starting to feel a bit more the ball and trying to go with slice, with drop shot and all that stuff, then it's going to be a lot tougher for you, especially with that 100 square inch head size and that thicker beam. You lose a bit the feel of the ball. But if you're hitting and brushing up the ball, then it feels better in my opinion compared to when you're doing a slice. I just felt like I was losing the feel of the string, and it might be due to the Luxilon Adrenaline, but I don't think it's the case because I've tried the string before and I know how it feels. But obviously the main reason why this racket is here is due to the comfort, and yes, the comfort is still there. I enjoy a bit more this version 3 compared to the version 2. I felt like the version 2 was good from the baseline but felt a bit empty. This one doesn't feel as empty, feels a bit more solid, feels a bit more like a real tennis racket. So let's go with the rating. In terms of control, No, no, it doesn't have a lot of control. So, yeah, the thing that is hard with this racket is that usually if this racket was made for, I don't know, people that want to play from the baseline and stop, there's nothing more to it, then I would say, okay, but try to add a more control-oriented string into it. But because this racket is made for comfort, it's pretty much impossible for me to say that because control-oriented strings tend to be stiffer. So yeah, control is not a stands out, so I'll have to go with 5 out of 10. In terms of power, definitely good. You feel like the racket is quite flexible, so if this racket was a bit stiffer, it would be too much power, but it's, it's comparable to a Wilson Ultra, so still in that range. So yeah, pretty powerful for a racket this way, but it's okay because, I mean, if this racket didn't have any power, it would be a comfortable racket with control, so pretty much impossible to play with, so it's okay. So I'll have to go with 8.5 out of 10. In terms of feel, for me, it has improved over the V2, but it lacks a bit of something, it needs a bit more spicy for me to make it feel like it's a great racket for comfort, but it has something more, this racket, no, it loses something, it needs to add something to the racket to have a bit more feel. Maybe it's a bit more stability, in my opinion, that would really help the racket, especially at the upper hoop. I feel like at 3 and 9 it's okay, but at the upper hoop you lose a bit the stability, in my opinion, when you're hitting hard. So I'll have to go with 7.5 out of 10. In terms of spin, like I've said for my 100 Pro review, I feel like this racket is always overlooked in terms of spin, but it's definitely a great racket in terms of spin. Just look at how the head is shaped, the beam, and all that stuff. So obviously it's good for spin, so I'll have to go with 8.5 out of 10. So here you have my overall rating. Again, thanks to Tennis-Zone for letting me borrow this racket. Without them, it would not have been possible. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.